Hey guys, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Today I am going to be reacting to The Greater Good, the Tau Law by Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer. If you want to check out other videos that I've reacted to from Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer, remember the playlist card will be at the top. Just click on it and you'll be able to access them. And if you want to check out the original video as well as Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer YouTube channel, remember that I put the links in the description below. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
We stand around the map and I hear them all talking, all contributing. The Crute, who will take the charge when they hit our lines. The Commander, who coordinates. The Vespid, who will provide a support, a surprise for our foes. It goes round and round the Fire Warriors. But the buck never stops at my feet. I wait.
The Fire Warriors. Is that what they call their fighters, as the Tau? The Fire Warriors? Okay. Warriors.
As everyone nods their agreement and starts to leave, I wait. The Ethereal has been looking at me for some time. I cannot read his expression, but no, he can read mine. The Commander looks like he is turning to leave, but the Ethereal touches him lightly on the arm. He stops immediately. The Ethereal finally addresses me as the last of the Firecast leave. Something troubles you, Pater. I look at my hands, and then look up into his eyes and speak. Permission to speak freely. Always, Pater, always, says the Ethereal. The Commander's eyes tighten slightly. I know he does not think much of me, of us. Can we do this outside? I wish to make a point, but it will be brief, I assure you. The Ethereal slowly gestures to the door, and as I begin to walk out, he follows me, the Commander in tow. I open the door and step out into the beautiful dawn. The air is fresh and clear, and the sun shines down on me. The Ethereal gracefully steps out and stands before me, the Commander barely containing his impatience. Speak your mind, Pater. I take in a deep breath of air and release it slowly, dramatically. The air is sweet and clean and fresh. I take another deep breath again and smile deeply as I release it with my eyes closed. I then open them and look him deep in the eye. The Imperium once ruled this world. The skies were filled with smog, and all of my forebears died drowning on liquid in their lungs. The Imperium did not care. They forced tithes on us that could never be met, could never be satisfied unless we literally dug the heart out of our world and filled its skies with smog and death, destroying every last thing of beauty on this world, my home. We were slaves. We were beaten. We were executed if we disobeyed. The words of the Imperium are still known to us. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. They call themselves a civilization, yet there is nothing civil about this tyranny. Nothing. Ethereal looks at me with calm eyes.
Oh, I can't defend I can't defend the Imperium of Man. I mean, I also know what they are. I know what they have done to become this way. I know what they have to do to continue to exist. So, yeah, I can't defend the Imperium of Man. Whew.
He knows where I am going, and I see the hint of what the Tau call a smile play on his lips. They are less expressive, so it is always a hint. But he knows where I am going, I think, and I see pride in his eyes. It emboldens me to say what I have to say. I have to. I mean no impertinence. Commander, I do not question you, but I must speak my mind, as I represent the Gevasa on this world, in our armies. The greater good. It has brought clean technologies to this world, to my people. It has saved them from drowning. It has made the skies clear. It has made the fields green. It has made the orchards grow. And it has made the oceans teem with life and fish and abundance again. I know the tank column that comes this way. It is of the Imperium. It is human. You have placed my men, my loyal men, in the rear, far from the confrontation. I know you have your doubts, both of you. But the commander more than you. But I would like you to reconsider. I speak for all of my men, women, and the entire population of this world. We are human, Gevasa. But do we not have a place in the greater good, in the Empire? If you will never allow us to be tested, how can we ever dispel the doubt? How can we prove that the greater good is every bit as important to us as it is to our brothers and sisters of the Empire? How can you allow us to sit by and watch our Fire Clan Kroot and Vespid comrades die in defense of our world, but not let us stand with them? We know the Imperium will never leave unless we fight them, unless we are allowed to die for the greater good, unless we, the humans of the Empire, can show them that we are not slaves anymore, and we do not want them here. Will you not let us have honor? Will you not allow us to take our place in the greater good? Will you not let us fight?
Yeah. That hurts. It hurts me a bit, because I support the Imperium of Man. I know the kind of monster this Imperium is. I know. But it still hurts, to hear a human talk this way with such heart and pride, and he wants to fight for his home. He wants to fight for the Tau Empire. He wants to fight for the greater good. Him and his men and women want to lay down their lives for their home under the banner of the Tau Empire. It hurts. It really hurts. It hurts.
The Ethereal looks on passively, but nods his head slowly and then bodily turns to look at the commander. He looks at him and intones. Pater speaks eloquently, ardently, and from the heart. What say you to this? The commander looks at him, then his shoulders seem to sag for a second, before he straightens and turns to me. The Gevasa 125th will be deployed to the front. You will stand in reserve to reinforce the Kroot and Vespid when we close the circle and perform the Kaon. The Ethereal nods, and turns to me and sees me beam at him and the commander. I salute to both formally and perfectly. You will not regret this. We will fight the invaders with every last inch of our strength. You will not regret this. The commander nods his head, dismissing me. I walk back to my unit with pride. The men will be elated. We will get to fight the tyrants for our world. We will get to fight for the greater good. To be continued. Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, and I wish to introduce you to the forces and factions of the Warhammer 40k universe. And today we are going to look very briefly at one of the newest factions and races to have joined the ongoing tragedy that is the Grimdark, the Tau Empire. Now I would ask for patience with this entry, as I am not as knowledgeable about the Tau as I am some other subjects, but also because I am awaiting some materials to arrive and thus be consumed so I can repackage them in my usual style and hope to make it engaging. I would also like it noted that this will be only part 1 of the introduction. A lot of this information can be considered to be slightly dated, but have no fear. I will present the greater good element of the psychic awakening very soon, and then be releasing a how this all changes the Tau thereafter.
Wait, okay, so the Tau can also have, will also have a psionic awakening at some point. They will also be connected to the warp, meaning they'll be able to use warp travel and they'll be able to communicate through the warp as well. And also that means they'll be possessed by demons. Huh.
Then we can tie up all of the disparities and nuances. I hope you can see that I needed to do a larger entry for the Tau to make the Psychic Awakening entry make sense. Also, as this is just past our 6 months of lore, I thought I would go back to the Tau and give them more than the 6 odd minutes that was my first pure lore video. Yikes. Don't go back to the prognostications though. They really show the improvements we've made in the half year. They were needed. But that old entry on the Tau, no matter how bad, is something I would urge you to view as it is short, and also as it contains information and perspective I am not giving today. To quote, "The greater good. The uniting philosophy of the Tau race is called the greater good, which stresses communal living and cooperation, a convivial attitude to aliens, and self-sacrifice for the good of the whole. Most Tau sincerely believe that they are on a noble mission to bring peace, justice, and progress to the rest of the galaxy." When the Tau first started expanding to other systems, they thought that they were the only technologically advanced race in existence, and that it would be effortless to expand their reach throughout the rest of the galaxy. In 742 of Millennium 41, they came into contact with the Imperium of Man, which subsequently launched the so-called Damocles Crusade to conquer the upstart Tau Empire. The war lasted for 3 years, between 742 Millennium 41 and 745, before ending in stalemate. Each side agreed to a truce due to the sudden appearance of the first Tyranid invasion of the galaxy, Hive Fleet Behemoth, which threatened them both. The Imperium's forces were rapidly withdrawn from the aborted Damocles Crusade to fight in the First Tyrannic War, and in such a fast panic that many Imperial Guard regiments were abandoned inside of the Tau Empire's territory, many of whom were absorbed into the ranks of the Tau military as auxiliaries.
Wow. Imperium of Man, how could you do this? Guys, no man. You have this ability to mobilize for war, but then when it comes to demobilization, you guys are failing at that. What's going on here? No, you can't leave such important personnel and resources in the territory of the enemy. Oh gosh.
Each side learned new lessons from the Damocles Crusade. The Imperium of Man was forced to realize that the Tau were a new major race on the galactic scene, capable of standing up to the limited resources the Imperium was able to throw at them, due to most of its armies being spread thin across the galaxy fighting Chaos, Orcs, and Tyranids. Meanwhile, the Tau had a rude awakening that the galaxy was not empty, and theirs for the taking, but mostly controlled by the Imperium of Man, which even with its attentions divided between multiple alien threats controlled vast military resources. In the 250 years between the Damocles Crusade and the 13th Black Crusade, by the forces of Chaos led by Abaddon himself, the Tau have been slowly but steadily expanding their sphere of influence, retrenching in the face of powerful alien races. As a civilized technological culture, which does not inherently embrace warfare, the Tau are one of the few races that the Imperium might be considered to have diplomatic relations with on any level. Unlike other alien races, the Tau do not wish the destruction of humanity, and their reach is very short due to their limited interstellar capabilities. Though the Imperium...
For now it's limited, but since you're telling me these guys have psychers in their regiments and in their civilization, it might change, actually, in the future.
ultimately wishes to destroy all alien races. It considers the Tau a low priority, and has occasionally agreed to suspend hostilities to deal with more pressing threats.
Yes, I've been told before that, the Imperium of Man considers them as a low priority because of the threats that they deal across the galaxy. But I am so worried about that statement. These guys are technologically so far superior, to what the Imperium of Man currently uses, I think. They have weapons that you could say that the people during the age of technology, the golden age of human technology, had. They have these, what are they called? Rail guns. They have vessels that are far more adaptable in battle. They have cloaking technology. I'm not sure about their vessels, if they're any threat to the Imperium of Man's battleships. I'm not sure about that. But really, these guys are advancing very fast, considering that the Imperium of Man found their planet a couple thousands of years ago, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're so advanced. They have space-worthy vessels. They've been conquering planets in their sector of the galaxy, So I don't want to consider these people as a small threat, even if they don't show themselves as wanting to threaten humanity with extinction like the Eldar or any other advanced race like the Orcs, They may not show it, but it's there. They want to conquer. They want to assume control. So I'm worried. I'm really worried.
Imperial and Tau troops have often fought side by side against the Necrons and Tyranids, as with the Eldar, and the Imperium could essentially be said to have been allies with the Tau. Thus, after many thousands of years, the Imperium of Man is slowly beginning to rediscover the concept of international diplomacy, in which the Imperium, the Eldar and the Tau would each prefer to conquer all of the others, but each also realizes that they cannot spare the resources for the full undertaking. Most commonly, it is...
Okay, if the Imperium of Man is changing its viewpoints on them in that way, and there's records of them working together to fight against whatever enemy is present, then maybe yes, okay, I will accept that maybe they shouldn't consider them as a threat. But honestly, maybe it's just me, maybe I just want humanity to conquer everything, and I'm just jumping to conclusions. But okay, I'll keep quiet.
Simply a situation where, when faced with a far more belligerent common foe that cannot be reasoned with, alliances are often the best interests of both parties. Due to the Tau Empire's location in the Milky Way galaxy's eastern fringe, combined with their lack of psychers, they have had relatively little contact with the forces of chaos, which were concentrated around the Eye of Terror in the galaxy's northwest, or the Maelstrom at the center of the galaxy. The Imperium of Man has for the most part not prioritized military conflict with the Tau, which does occur but at a relatively low level. Contact with the Eldar is sporadic, and relations vary from one craft world to the next. The biggest threat to the Tau Empire come from the Orc hordes, which control vast swathes of the eastern fringe, as well as the incursion of the Tyranid hive fleets, which tend to enter the galaxy from the eastern fringe also. Thus, the Tau's two biggest military threats are alien races which possess military doctrines diametrically opposed to those of the Tau. Both the Orcs and Tyranid favour devastating close-quarters combat, while eschewing ranged combat. Tau culture. The broad role a Tau fulfills in their society is dictated by the caste to which they are born, and each caste is physically distinct from one another, to the point of being practically separate subspecies. The Tau of the Fire caste are the warriors of Tau society, and the most massive and physically powerful of the Tau, generations of breeding having weeded out infirmity. Tau of the Earth caste have the most numerous population of all the castes, most being physically sturdy labourers who staff farms, factories and construction crews, and the brightest minds go on to be engineers and doctors. Tau of the Water caste are the civil servants, merchants, administrators, bureaucrats and diplomats of Tau society, flowing among both the other castes and other allied species, and ensuring that all have what they need to optimally serve the greater good. They display an easy affinity for languages, and adopt many forms of communications with exceptional nuance across their careers. Tau of the Air caste are sometimes known as the Invisible caste, because they spend most of their time aboard the spacecraft that make up the Tau Navy. Generations of exposure to microgravity leaves them with a hollow bones and a tolerance for high acceleration, though their frailty means that they are sluggish and weak in even moderate gravity environments. Finally, Tau of the ethereal caste are the spiritual and political leaders of the Tau, and Tau of other castes submit to their authority in all things. Should an ethereal order a Tau of the different caste to kill themselves, they would obey without hesitation. The Tau are the most open and tolerant of the races in the galaxy, which means that they prefer not to destroy other races on sight, and are nowhere near xenophobic as the Imperium of Man. They are appreciative of the ways of the humans, Eldar, and other sentient races, but hold their own values as superior above all others.
Okay, fire caste, earth caste, water caste, air caste, and the ethereal caste. The ethereal caste as the leaders, are they like an incorporation of the other caste members? You know, like if they want to choose a leadership for the ethereal caste, do they take people from the earth caste, the fire caste, the water caste and make them ethereals? Or are people born as ethereals and, you know, they're automatic, like it's hereditary, you know? Like if you are an ethereal and you marry another ethereal, or you marry a water caste or an earth caste or a fire caste and you make a child and that child is an ethereal species of Tau, then that ethereal automatically becomes an ethereal caste leader. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to ask, guys. Hopefully you understand. I'm just trying to ascertain, you know, how is the ethereal class come to be exactly, you know? Because I can see with the fire caste, they were warriors, or they are warriors. The water caste are the bureaucracy kind of people, you know, the pencil pushers, the people working offices who are diplomats and communicators and stuff like that. The earth caste are the workers. The air caste are the navy and space workers, you know. So the ethereal class, how was it chosen to be the one that unifies all the other castes? Yeah.
All Tau in all castes have a particular rank in their society, with each individual starting at the lowest and being eventually promoted on merit. However, the Tau attach no stigma to low rank, and even the most menial Tau enjoys the respect of their peers. Tau names are generally seen in the Imperium as long, complicated and unwieldy, but they can be broken down into the following: caste and rank within that caste, sept of birth, personal name, which is often determined by their notable actions or achievements. Using a Tau's full name is considered a very formal form of address, while using only their personal name is considered overly familiar unless one is bonded to them via the Ta Lysera. Using a Tau's caste and rank to refer to them is considered a polite form of address, as it acknowledges their role in the greater good. The caste names are Aun, A-U-N, for ethereal, Por, P-O-R, for water, Shas, S-H-A-S, for fire, Fio, F-I-O, earth, Kor, K-O-R, for air. The Tau are generally shorter than humans, smaller in stature, and with less muscle mass and body weight. Every Tau is humanoid in shape, with 2 arms, 2 cloven feet, and a single head. Their grey-blue skin is leathery and tough and exudes no moisture, owing to the general dry conditions of their homeworld. Their faces are flat, wide around the eyes, and their olfactory organs are located inside their mouths. Their eyes can see into the infrared and ultraviolet. Tau eyesight is good, but they focus on distant objects slower than humans. The Tau are not very good in close combat, as they find the whole concept uncivilized. The Tau has 3 digits and a single opposable thumb on each hand. The main difference from humans is the bone structure of Tau's lower legs, feet and ankles. Tau have short bones of the labia and fibia, but their feet have elongated cuneiform bones and talus, and 2 large central weight-bearing toes. The Tau have evolved to stand and move without using their heels. The colour of a Tau's skin often depends on his caste, as well as which sept he calls home. In general, it can be said that the air caste have the palest pigment, while fire caste tend to be the darker. The darker the Tau's bluish-grey skin, the closer to the sun he lives. Therefore, those living on Viola have much darker skin than those from Borkan. Also, it is known that some strange quality in the green-tinged sun of the Nadras sept can leave those from that region slightly mottled. It has also been suggested by several Imperial observers that Tau blood is bluish-purple, explaining that the blood contains trace amounts of cobalt rather than iron, as common in humans. It is known that the lifespan of the Tau is short. Most Tau need only 1 to 2 Terran hours of sleep every rotation. The Tau have no psychers whatsoever among their ranks, for their souls are so feeble they barely register in the warp at all. They are largely oblivious to the malevolent forces of chaos, which in turn take no interest in the crumbs of the Tau souls.
Weren't humans the same in the beginning? Like our souls was feeble, like during the times of the age of technology. No, not age of technology, but even before that. Before humans started spreading themselves across the galaxy, Weren't our souls also just feeble and not really worthy of interest for the warp, chaos, demons, and gods, Weren't our souls also just like that? But then over time, it began to manifest and it began to grow and it became more prominent and, the chaos gods took interest into humanity. So probably this is the same thing that's happening with the Tau, that, during the first contacts with the Imperium of Men, their souls were not very strong with the warp. They did not understand the warp. They didn't even know it existed. But over time, they will come to realize of its existence. They will start to use it just like humans did, and they will find things in the great beyond that they probably never expected, and they will slowly learn why the Imperium of Man is the way it is, I think. Yeah.
No Tau has ever been corrupted by chaos to date. Because they have no navigators, Tau ships cannot travel through the heart of the warp like Imperial ships do. Instead, they make shallow dives into the warp, a much slower form of travel, because they have no astropaths. The Tau are reliant on messenger ships to communicate across the stars. These handicaps greatly slow the expansion of the Tau Empire. As well as the 5 castes of the Tau, multiple alien species are incorporated into the Empire, the most significant of these being the Kroot and Vespid, although many other races, including the spacefaring Nikasar and Demiurge mining fleets, are members. In addition, human auxiliaries, Gevasa in the Tau language, are sometimes seen to be aiding the Tau as well. The Tau Empire's practice of tolerating and incorporating other races stands in stark contrast with essentially all other major races in the galaxy, which exterminate other races completely rather than conquer and subjugate them, although this could be offset by some issues with the Eldar, depending on the craft world. Reports vary on the exact conditions of the alien races working for the Tau themselves, ranging from that they are full allies within the Empire, to that they are mercenary armies hired out by the Tau to aid in the umbrella of protection the Tau military provides their regional space, to reports that these auxiliaries are glorified slaves. Still, the fact that the Tau want to coexist with other races on any level, even if they are subjugated, makes them far more tolerant than other races, particularly the xenophobic Imperium of Man. Most reports generally indicate that the human auxiliaries serving the Tau Empire are relatively well treated, with many serving the Tau voluntarily. As the only significant human population in the galaxy which is not part of the Imperium, this has led to a great deal of both embarrassment and general bewilderment in Imperial officials, who have difficulty comprehending that many planet-sized populations of humans would truly rather side with the Tau than the brutal and harsh Imperium.
Yeah, no, it is embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing. But the fact that they cannot understand why they're doing this is also extremely concerning for me, because I support the Imperium of Man, The fact that they cannot realize or understand why these humans have decided to join this Xeno race Due because of how they are managing the Imperium of Man, how they are managing the affairs of the different planets in the Imperium of Man, how they only focus on extraction of resources from a particular planet, or they make hive cities to produce more human beings for different different purposes, either to make armies or to make more psychers or to produce more production facilities. I know there are different types of worlds that the Imperium of Man have. It's not just hive worlds or industrial worlds or death worlds. I think that's what they're called. Like, they have different other types, like garden worlds and normal civilizations, like with an environment that is conducive to life and enjoyment of life. I know there are different types of planets, but I think in the majority, it's not like that in the galaxy. Mostly, almost all the planets are either just resource collection planets and planets where the people just live in harsh conditions. And yeah, I just think that the Imperium of Man needs to have an introspect on how they manage their planets, especially in the outer periphery of the galaxy. And then maybe people won't, leave the Imperium of Man. But there's still a lot more work to do, especially when you have to deal with the ecclesiarchy and you have to deal with other factions within the Imperium of Man. There's still a lot of work to do before people can actually feel like, okay, I like staying in the Imperium of Man. I am an Imperial citizen. I am going to support the Imperium of Man until the end. There's still a lot of work for that to occur, but yeah, it's embarrassing.
Refusing to believe that the Gevasa were willingly won over to the Tau Empire through what was honestly better treatment than they had under the Imperium, many Imperial officials continued to insist that other races must only serve under the Tau due to some form of mind control. Thus,
I used to believe that too. I used to believe that, no, the Tau are covering up what they truly are, that they, that they're using some sort of mind control or some sort of technology to, convert these human beings into their people. I strongly believe that because it's Warhammer 40k, there is no good here. There is no the true and ultimate good. There's nothing like that here. People are dying day in, day out because of many factors. So I just couldn't believe that, there's a race called the Tau here who are doing things simply because they see things differently compared to the Imperium of Man and all the other factions in the galaxy. Yeah. The greater good.
In contrast to the forces of the Imperium, a Tau army encountered on the battlefield may feature a wide menagerie of different alien races working together for the greater good. Kroot. Close combat troops hailing from the jungle world of Pesh. The Kroot possess avian ancestry and beaks, but have evolved to appear closer to featherless reptiles. Guided by Shapers, Kroot are capable of drastically altering their genome by eating dead enemies and absorbing specific genes to adapt to new combat niches. They do also work outside the greater good as mercenaries quite frequently. Vespids. Flying wasp-like humanoids from the gas giant of the same name, Vespid, used as a highly maneuverable rapid strike force, covered in a chitinous exoskeleton evolved to protect them from the harsh atmosphere of their home planet, called Malkor in the Tau language, literally air insects. The Imperial Guard have dubbed them Stingwings, though this technically only refers to their soldiers, not the entire race. Humans, known as the Gevasa, literally human auxiliaries. In the Tau lexicon, they fulfill a tactical niche between the close combat Kroot and the long-range Tau fire warriors, in that they are capable of using some advanced Tau weaponry, but are slightly better at close combat than the Tau. Human auxiliaries are not yet as numerous in the Tau military as the Kroot or even the Vespid, but are being incorporated in increasing numbers. Demiurge. Did somebody say squats? No, sorry. Demiurge. Avid miners and expert traders who possess technology that is actually somewhat more advanced than that possessed by the Imperium of Man. It was actually the Demiurge who provided the Tau with ion cannon technology, which then became the mainstay armament used by the Tau ground forces, such as fire teams. The Demiurge are an entirely spaceborne race, which either lost or abandoned its homeworld, spreading out through the stars to mine new resources and trade. Are we sure that these aren't actually squats? They helped form a major component of the Tau Empire's interstellar economy. They are shorter than humans and have a sturdy build. Are we certain? The Demiurge are defensively hostile, but not aggressively militaristic, preferring to flee from stronger enemies and seek better trading opportunities elsewhere. Now that doesn't sound very squatty. As a result, they have generally avoided entering Imperial territory, unless they are invited in, and are thus rarely encountered by the Imperium of Man. This also means that they possess no starships designed for military purposes, and their preference for flight over fight means that they do not use ground units. However, being equipped with advanced Demiurge technology such as powerful cutting lasers used for asteroid mining, even the humble mining ships of the Demiurge, such as the Bastion class and massive Stronghold class, are capable of successfully engaging Tyranid hive ships head-on. Gulgs. Green, frog-like aliens used as mercenaries. Sounds like slang. Hyrenian. Mercenaries specialized in light infantry. Giatrix. Voidfarers, skilled at space travel. Moralian.
There's a lot of alien species in that corner of the galaxy. Wow. Okay.
Mercenaries. Nikasar. The first alien race incorporated into the Tau Empire, completely spaceborne, insatiably curious. They explore and scout star systems for the Tau. Even in space they have poor offensive and defensive capabilities, nor do they possess any advanced economic infrastructure, because they hibernate whenever they are not actively exploring.
And all of these species, besides humans, they are not in tune with the warp. You know, their souls are not strong enough to be reflected in the warp and then, you know, attract the desires of the demons and the chaos gods. All of these alien species. Wow. Okay.
They're also highly psychic, though the Tau try to keep this fact from the Imperium of Man. Taurelians. Reptilian dog-like aliens used as mercenaries. They possess a deep hatred of humans due to the severe losses their homeworlds have taken from Imperial campaigns. Charpactin. Sentient fungoid alien race who became a client state of the Tau Empire during the Fifth Sphere expansion after their natural ability to enthrall living beings was observed by the Watercast. Boctroon. Species that joined the Empire during the First Sphere expansion, but was largely and tragically wiped out by a virus. Their homeworld was inherited by the Tau, who transformed it into the Borkan Sept. Nagai. Highly intelligent, worm-like creatures that are capable of mind control from the world of Shagalud. Once enemies of the Tau who fought a series of wars against the Nagai. They have since made peace with and joined the Empire, where they serve as advisors to the ethereal caste. While not fully aware of its true nature, the Nagai know of the warp, which they call extra-dimensional space. Anthrazods. A race regarded by the Tau as sturdy, if dim-witted. They have proven well-suited to asteroid mining. Rangon. A minor race that has been successfully assimilated by the Tau Empire. Gnosh. A race that is used for hauling cargo. Yabi Yabi. A space-bound race, with little information that the Imperium presently has on record.
Guys, it's getting close to like 30, 35 species of alien that are in the Tau Empire. That's a lot. That is a lot. Wow.
Brashura. A tiny, dexterous-limbed crustacean race from the planet of the same name. They are unmatched in the delicate assembly of small plasma generators needed to power Earthcast inventions. Greet. race native to the ocean planet of Islasu, joined the Empire after a successful negotiation by watercaste diplomat Por or Dalith Kais Tui Lu Itan, who is also known as the Golden Ambassador.
And also what I've realized with this Tau Empire is that it also kind of reminds me of the Federation of Planets from Star Trek, you know. All of these races are all uniting as one federation or one Tau Empire, and they are sharing each other's knowledge, technology and everything, and giving it to the state, you know, to develop new weapons, new ships, new personal armor and weaponry systems. And I think that's what also drove this Tau Empire to be so technologically advanced, to the point where the Imperium of Man actually has a hard time, you know, pushing these guys back or defeating them outright, because they have all of this technology from all of these different races, and it's actually working for them. It's really working for them here. Oh. Okay. Tau Empire.
Formosian, a race that has joined the Empire. Little Imperial records exist on this race. Thraxians, chitin-covered, multi-armed species that was assimilated into the Empire during the First Sphere expansion. The Thraxian race is also noted to have migrated into Imperial territory before they joined the Empire, which is odd, as official first contact with the Tau and the Imperium occurred during the Second Sphere expansion. The Tau are very much a ranged combat-orientated army. A common tactic is to engage the enemy at the maximum range of their weapons, which typically have a longer range and greater firepower than the equivalent weapons of other armies. Tau usually try to take out the strongest weapons of the enemy, as well as keeping enemy troops from reaching the Tau lines, as most Tau units are weak in close combat. A more prevalent tactic amongst Tau veterans is the mech-Tau approach, which utilizes the inherent mobility and speed of Tau vehicles and battlesuits to confuse and overwhelm the enemy by engaging them at all levels of the battlefield. The Tau army is highly specialized, with each element normally having a specific task in support of the rest of the force. Fire warrior teams make up the line troops, while forward scouts, known as pathfinders, scout enemy positions and provide fire support with rail rifles and marker light target designators. The Tau also deploy broadside battlesuits and crisis battlesuits in supporting roles, providing specialized weapons to deal with any hotspots on the battlefield, or providing heavy anti-tank fire. Stealth suit teams operate independently of the main force, unleashing devastating fire from hidden positions. The Tau also make extensive use of small AI-controlled drones, typically equipped with guns or force fields. Drones can be used to protect teams of fire warriors and battlesuits or support tanks, and can even be grouped into independent squadrons. Tau ground warfare is carried out almost exclusively by the Firecaste, while the Aircaste is responsible for aerial and space combat and providing transport between systems. The basic Firecaste military unit is known as the Cadre, or Kaui, similar in size to the role of an Imperial Guard company, and is primarily made up of Tau from the same sept. The most commonly fielded Cadre is a combined arms formation, made up of multiple teams, or La Rua, though more specialized cadres exist, such as a battlesuit retaliation cadre and a pathfinder infiltration cadre. 3 to 6 cadres will often fight together as part of a contingent, or TOV, similar to an Imperial Guard regiment, and commanded by the most senior cadre commander. 3 to 6 contingents may be grouped into a battle, also known as a commune, or cavale. Though this is only a temporary formation, all Firecaste forces in a given location, whether a planet or star system, is grouped into a command, under the leadership of a High Commander, with the 4 commands, or Uasho, fire, earth, water and air, grouped into a coalition, Chanal, under the command of the local ethereals. The Tau prefer to meticulously plan their assaults, and tend to fight only after carefully coordinating all available troops. They also prefer to fight offensively, concerned more with the destruction of the enemy than the taking and holding of ground. The Tau believe the territory is much easier to hold when all enemies are dead. Instead of trying to defend a base or city, the Tau would rather dismantle all of the important technology, evacuate, and come back to defeat the occupying force at a later time when there are...
Yeah, their tactics are a bit different from the Imperium of Man. You know, with the Imperium of Man, it's the bravado of war. You know, you head out complete to defeat your enemies with all that you possess, overwhelming force. Even you defend these cities and facilities instead of like the Tau dismantling all the key infrastructure and technology. With the Imperium of Man, you make it into a fortress. You defend that fortress with your life so that, you can make stories about that battle and make it epic, and make it like it's something that any Imperial Guardsman or anyone from any of the other factions of the Imperium of Man would yearn to be in a battle like that, So yeah, this is different. This is actually very different compared to the Imperium of Man.
Army is sufficient for the task. The two primary Tau tactics, known as meta-strategies, are the Mont-Ka, killing blow of the perfect strike, and Kauyon, patient hunter, the art of patience and ambush. The Mont-Ka is a carefully planned attack designed to wipe out critical enemy defenses or units in single, well-placed strikes. Once the strongest points of enemy resistance are crushed, the remainder of the force can generally be finished off more easily. Pathfinder teams or Ghost Keels make the final decision to launch a Mont-Ka. After the beginning of the Mont-Ka, the enemy must receive massive damage, or else the Tau forces will be called back. A commander will withdraw to strike from another side rather than waste lives of the warriors. The Kauyon is essentially an ambush, where the enemy is drawn by use of a lure into a carefully prepared killing zone. The lure can literally be anything, from the allied squad to the vital objective. The force of the patient hunter deployed in such a way that they can attack the enemy using all suitable advantages. True experts of this tactic may compose so many levels of plans within plans that the enemy realize that all of his actions have been predicted and managed by the Tau, only at the annihilating end of its battle. Aside from these two principles, the Tau also make use of other meta-strategies, including the Rinyon, Circle of Blades, basically envelopment, and the Rip-Ika, the Thousand Daggers, the tactic of cumulative strikes. The Tau have a formidable standing army, but also make use of auxiliary units, including the Kroot, Gevasa Auxiliaries, and Vespid, sometimes using them as the lure in the Kauyon attack method. The Space Fleet. The Tau space fleet is known as the Korvatra, and is crewed by the Tau of the Air Caste. Since the earliest days of the first sphere of expansion...
You're telling me they have Gundams? I mean, these are Gundams out here. They're using Gundams. Where the Imperium of Man have their Titans, these guys are using Gundams from, the anime Gundam Seed or Gundam Unicorn or something. Wow.
The Torvatra was given high priority by the Ethereals, and their spacefaring technology advanced at a rapid pace, increasing their reach substantially in the span of a few centuries. The Korvatra suffered tremendous losses to the Imperial fleet during the Damocles Crusade, and their defeat of the Hydas system being particularly noteworthy. Compounding the weaknesses were exploring tendrils of the Tyranid hive fleets, encroaching on Tau space. Following this, the Ethereals directed the very best Earth-caste scientists were given whatever resources they needed to modernize and expand the Korvatra in a program titled the Kor Orvesh.
Listen to that, Imperium of Man. This government is pouring everything into making their space worthy vessels even far more superior. They are investing. They are not shying away from technology. They're not shying away from developing or improving on their technology. Hey, I'm jealous. I am so jealous. Honestly.
It is believed that the Tau's aggressive territorial expansion and the need to upgrade has placed great pressure on the Korvatra.
In fact, they actually remind me of the orcs as well, because the orcs also experiment and tinker and make even more, unbelievable technologies that only they can understand. But they innovate. They continue to create, Hey, I'm so jealous.
End quote. I often hear a lot of vitriol being heaped at the door of this faction, which does bemuse me, but then I am relatively harmless most of the time. I hear clarion calls of, "They aren't grimdark enough." Well, I would like people to take perhaps another view of the situation. Firstly, I cannot think of anything more grimdark than the Tau Empire, but stay with me on this one. Imagine what actually being in the Tau Empire would be like. Wonderful, lovely, equality and plenty for all, right? Far too noble bright for Warhammer, but that ignores the shadow that covers them every day in every way. Imagine you are only 4'5", maybe 5 foot tall, and not particularly loud, aggressive, or well armed. Then imagine you have a set of very dangerous neighbors. On one side you have a house which is frequented by up to 100 people each day and night. They hurl refuse into your yard, and if they see you, or even see your lights are on, they chant at you that they are coming to kill you. They will knock down the door and annihilate everyone in the house and then set it alight. They are only waiting until their turf wars have ended before they do this. Sound noble, bright? Well, this is the Imperium. What about that frat house that has a congregation of literally hundreds of drunks who regularly try to get into the house and are burning poo through the door, at the least? And more often than not, it is bricks. They are never ending and a constant pest. But they are drinking more and more each night, and their pranks are getting more and more likely to kill everyone in your house if they continue to do so without stopping. The orcs. The Tau have orcs aplenty everywhere around them. Previously, they would be easily outmaneuvered and fended off, but things are changing, and the Prophet of Gork and Mork is trying to get the orcs to act more cunning, as they call it, every second. The orcs are moving in a way that has not been seen since the rise of the beast. What chance does the Tau have if a proper full-scale war, led by a boss as cunning as he is brutal? It may well be the most horrific war the Tau have yet faced, and it is all coming very soon indeed. On the other side, you have a group of immortals who are entirely metallic, hate everything living, and each day they look at your house and say, "We will have that one day. We are just waiting for our relatives to arrive. Then you and everyone in your house is dead. When our relatives arrive, as they are presently having a nap, you are dead. When you walk past their house, they have all sorts of ancient weaponry on their walls, ancient but no less deadly when deployed." These are the Necrons, who are coming out of their sleep and only now really moving to expand their holdings after an extended period of consolidation. They are ageless, lethal, and all but immortal, and invulnerable to most things. Still not enough? Well, you also have that last neighbour at the end of the cul-de-sac, the one who has 50 very hungry wolves that he claims are just dogs, but you notice that he does not feed them often. He keeps looking at you and preparing to open the door to these overgrown, abused, and deeply hungry canines every time you pass his house on the way to work. Any time he opens that door, you are dead. You'll be ripped to pieces by his attack dogs in seconds. Worse still, every day 5 more canines are dropped off to him. When you notice that he is actually putting your clothes amongst the meagre food he does not give them very often. Hence, they will eat you at the drop of a hat if permitted. These are the Tyranids, whose 5 fleets are arriving in larger and larger numbers each year. So to be a member of the Tau Empire is to be surrounded by rapacious, massive, warlike entities who want nothing more than to tear you to pieces, sometimes not even for land or resources, but simply because you exist. Still thinking that the Tau Empire is noble, bright, and not in keeping with the setting? If that is not enough, then please do allow me my second foray into a defense. Without contrast there is no shadow, so the Tau may seem all lovely, etc., but is that not even worse? They are the exception that proves the rule. They are the hope that will be inexorably crushed by either Necron, Tyranid, or Imperium the moment they get round to it. I think they are a wonderful little faction. As a bit of a fan of mecha anime, I can state that I do like their sleek lines and the overall aesthetic as well. As a strong gun line, they work. But they have massive weaknesses, and one can almost see it as a race to get to them before their lines crumble under close combat pressure. In the Tau, I think there is a mix of elements that make them shine. They have a truly sci-fi look that many like. Their organisation and gunline harken back to the Napoleonic age of warfare, bar their inability to fix bayonets and charge, of course. All they need to do is hold the line and fire 3 shots a minute until the French column evaporates. Sorry. All they need to do is hold out. They are the cosmic little kid trying to make his way into a playground filled with some of the most hardened criminals and murderers in the history of the galaxy. Games Workshop seem to have bowed to pressure, is what some have said, in making the Tau have more of a potential dark side. There is now the insinuation that all is not as rosy, and as much of a consensual love-in as was previously believed, with the clue that the Ethereals are somehow employing mind.
What is this? A human and a Tau in a relationship? By the throne, oh gosh. Ban them.
Control over the vast majority of the willing Tau allies, and hint that they are actually wiping out races when they have served their purposes, being only some. I like to think of the Tau as another continuation of the cycle, the wheel that turns again and again in the grim darkness of the future. For is there much difference between the Tau as they are now and the Imperium as it started? Yes, people...
No, there is no difference. Well, not the Imperium per se, but, the Empire, the human confederation before, how it was. I would say the Tau are exactly well, not exactly, but they are similar to them. How they are so confident in themselves, how they try to explore the galaxy in their own way, the way they are so negotiable with other species across the galaxy, how they're technologically advanced, they are reminding me, or they are quite similar to how humans were during the times of human expansion and the golden age of technology. Yeah. Not the Imperium of Man, not during the beginning of the Imperium of Man, because even that was extremely xenophobic, very territorial, and, they went to war with anyone and everything and anyone across the galaxy, all in the pursuit of expanding their galaxy in a very violent way. Not like how the Tau are doing with their greater good agenda.
All state that the Imperium was xenophobic, but they are missing things. Humanity had been whipped like a cur for millennia when the Emperor rose, but at that time he did consider taking some races into the Imperium as protectorates if they were not chaos-tainted or a threat to the human race. The Imperial truth brought technological innovation, and it's not utterly dissimilar to the greater good when you boil it all down. Horus, the War Master, always stated that the Imperium should leave a world better off than when they found it. Is it so different? Also, in my mind, the Emperor would see no potential for warp tainting, no real danger from the Tau philosophy, and would have been a happy ally of this young race. Alas, the Imperium is now a thrashed dog again that snaps and bites at all around it out of fear. This, more than anything else, the degeneration of humanity into ignorance, superstition, and hate, is what the Emperor attempted to avert. But, alas, the wheel turns, as I said. We are seeing exactly the same slide from grace to aggression in the Tau. But we shall deal with this in my second entry on the Tau, dragging the lore into the present, after I have received those resources I require. The newest book in the Psychic Awakening, The Greater Good, goes on further, but we will be able to discuss that very soon, as I will be performing an entry for that leg of the Awakening within the week. The Psychic Awakening will be coming to the channel, and there will be plenty more of this faction, as their war gear and tactics are actually quite entrancing. If you do not like the Tau, consider it intercepting enemy transmissions that only you are privy to, in readiness to give them a sound thrashing on the tabletop the next time you face them. All I can say at this point is, if you do not like your balloons blue, you like them green or yellow or red, then let others enjoy their shiny blue balloon and simply not worry about it. At the end of the day, we're all trying to enjoy a hobby. Take what you want out of it and ignore the rest. That someone else enjoys their balloons being blue does not detract from the gloss or sheen of your balloon in any way whatsoever. Our forces do and should want all others wiped out. This is as it should be because Warhammer is a game of conflict and battles. Our forces should despise each other to permit as many diverse matchups and drama as possible. I am all in for a good-natured ribbing, what we in Blighty used to call a bit of a sledging. But let's leave the anger and the hatred and the derision in the lore and on the battlefield. Just remember that the person across from you is also trying to relax. It doesn't matter the colour of their balloon. You are more alike than you will ever be different, and you enjoy something special. Warhammer, be kind.
I like that. I like that message from Baldermort. Yes, definitely. That's a very good message out there. Yeah.
I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. If you have enjoyed my brief introduction to the Tau, then please do consider liking and subscribing. If you are a regular gentle listener and see the worth in what we are doing, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Oh, yes, I really should explain. I didn't want to do the narrative between the Imperial Guard and the Tau in this video. That will be Wednesday. I hope it to be, well, entertaining. You have all voted, and I have listened. I have read the comments, and I'm preparing my brief. I hope it will be good. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.
Okay guys, that was The Greater Good Tau Lore by Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer. Yeah, the Tau. You know, I think the Tau are going to change, over a duration of time. As they begin to understand and they begin to try and, survive in this hostile galaxy, this greater good of theirs is going to start to unravel. I think with time, as they continue to fight against the Necrons, the Eldar, the Tyranids, the Orcs, and then also, yes, the humans, as they continuously fight, because that's what's been happening with the Imperium of Man. For over 10,000 years, they've been fighting for their survival, fighting non-stop. The Orcs, they live on fighting. So this is just breathing air for them. They just continue to fight. The Tyranids, they continue to consume. It's what they are there for. That's how they exist. It's how they work. They continue to absorb other biological beings into their existence. So, yeah, the more of this fighting culture that continues to grow inside the Tau, the more they're going to change. And the greater good itself is going to be tested against the realities of the galaxy. It's really going to be tested against the realities of the galaxy, and I don't think it will stand up to scrutiny. I don't think it will survive. It will have to adapt to the present day of the galaxy, and it might not be the greater good anymore. It might be called something else. And yeah, the Tau themselves as a species might become even more hardened in their position. They might become even a bit more xenophobic. You never know. You never truly know, because like Baldermort says that, the next door neighbors are always knocking at the Tau's door. They are right there. And if they should make a mistake, they will attack them, they will maw at them, and it will just be continuous suffering and pain for the Tau. So yeah, just watch the space. things might actually change for them in that respect. But for people who say that they don't really exude any kind of grim, dark future vibes about them, yeah, you could say that. You know, they're optimistic. They believe in their future. They always strive for a better society and stuff like that. You know, but humanity were the same before. You know, so we just have to just appreciate that there's another species out there that are trying to make their own path and try to make things better. You know, they think that their way is superior. They think that their culture is what is needed in the galaxy. But like I said before, they're in for a rude awakening. You know, as they continue to fight, as they continue to struggle and push against all of these foes that are on their borders, they're going to change as a species, and the greater good itself is going to be pushed aside as an ethos to follow. And they're going to become more or maybe similar to what the Imperium of Man is, I think. I don't know. But yeah, the caste system is also quite interesting. I'm still kind of, you know, unsure about the ethereal caste. You know, how is the ethereal caste made up? Is it made up from the other different castes, or is there a special species of Tau that are called the ethereal people, the ethereal Tau people? Yeah. Yeah, so that's also something I need to know about. And yeah, humans joining up with the Tau Empire, it will always be an embarrassment, really. For me, as someone who supports the Imperium of Man, you know, I just find it very embarrassing. Not you know, hateful or anything like that. I just find it embarrassing. It just shows that, you know, the Imperium of Man needs to improve on things. You know, we should stop trying to stay in this stagnant, decayed existence. You know, it doesn't have to be a drastic change, but at least a change of the living standards on many worlds across the galaxy. Yeah. I mean, the galaxy is already grim dark, but, you know, at least give a little bit more to the people. Let them live a much more enjoyable life, you know, as they live in this grim dark future. Yeah. Well, guys, I guess that's it. If you liked the video, if you want to check out the original video as well as Baldermort's YouTube channel, remember the links are in the description. And if you like this reaction video, remember to give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos. And I will see you next time. Oh yes, with part 2 probably of the Tau made by Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer. Yeah. Okay? Bye-bye.